He stopped in front of the jewelry store every night on his way home from work. Not to buy anything, just to look. Behind the thick glass were rings that sparkled like a galaxy of promises. Promises he desperately wanted to make, but simply couldn't afford. The one he felt she deserved, the one that truly matched her light, cost more than everything he had in his bank account. It was more than his savings. It was more than his pride could handle. So every single night, he walked away carrying the same heavy question home with him: am I enough? To chase the answer, he started working longer hours, picking up extra shifts whenever he could. He came home later, long after the city lights had flickered on. His meals became simpler, his evenings quieter. He'd sit alone at a small wooden table under the soft glow of a single lamp, counting coins. While the rest of the world slept, he stayed awake, adding the numbers over and over, hoping they would somehow magically change, hoping they would grow into the figure he saw on that price tag. He never told her how hard it was. He never let her see the worry etched on his face. Not because he didn't trust her with his struggles, but because he didn't want their love to feel like a burden. He wanted it to feel like a sanctuary, not a sacrifice. The days quickly turned into weeks, and the weeks blurred into months. Time was moving so fast, but the money was not. It crawled, inching forward at a frustratingly slow pace. Then one night, as he sat there staring at his worn-out ledger, a profound realization washed over him. Love doesn't wait for a perfect bank statement. Love doesn't wait for the right moment. Love is the moment. It doesn't need a grand stage or a flawless script. The next day, with a newfound resolve, he walked past the fancy downtown store and found a small family-owned jewelry shop tucked away on a quiet side street. There he chose a simple, elegant ring. It wasn't the shiniest. It wasn't the most expensive, but it was honest. It was real. That night, he sat alone in his quiet apartment, holding the small velvet box in his hands. Fear was suddenly louder than hope. A flood of doubts rushed in. What if she compares it to her friends' rings? What if she's disappointed? What if she thinks this isn't enough? He realized he wasn't afraid of her saying no. He was afraid of not being enough for the incredible life he knew she deserved. A few days later, on a quiet evening, as the setting sun painted the sky in shades of gold and orange, he took her to a simple, peaceful spot overlooking the city. There was no crowd, no fancy music, just the two of them and the truth hanging in the air. He took a deep, shaky breath, his heart pounding in his chest, and knelt down in front of her. "I don't have much," he began, his voice soft but steady. "I can't promise you a life of luxury, but I promise you my effort. I promise you my growth. And I promise that every single future I build will have you in it." With trembling hands, he opened the box. The ring was small, humble, but the moment was immense, heavy with unspoken emotions. She didn't speak at first. Her eyes welled up with tears, sparkling in the twilight. In that long, deafening silence, he prepared himself for any answer, for any reaction. Then a slow, beautiful smile spread across her face. "I never wanted expensive," she said softly, her voice filled with emotion. "I just wanted commitment. I wanted someone who chooses me, especially when it's hard." She looked at him, her gaze unwavering, and nodded. Yes. They walked away from that spot hand in hand, not richer in money, but immeasurably richer in belief. Because the right person doesn't ask what you own, they ask where you're going. And the most valuable ring in the world is the one that is worn with love. Thanks for listening. If this story touched you, please follow for more.